The Marathas and the Nizam were uncomfortable neighbors in Deccan. They were allies at the Battle of Sakarkhedla and enemies at Palkhed and Bhopal. After the death of Nizam Asaf Jah and Peshwa Bajirao, the next generation continued this rivalry. With the help of Frenchman Charles de Bussy, the trained artillery commander, Salabat Jung took over the control as the next Nizam. The Peshwa had plans to depose Salabat Jung as the Nizam and replace him with Ghaziuddin, the eldest son of Asaf Jah, who would have been a more favourable candidate to the Marathas. When Ghaziuddin was poisoned at a dinner meeting by his stepmother, the Marathas renewed their efforts to depose Salabat Jung. This led to more hostilities and eventually the Treaty of Bhalki. All through these events, the Peshwa noticed the might of the well-trained artillery and the European-trained troops. The Peshwa tried his best to acquire the services of Frenchman Debussy during the Treaty of Bhalki, but instead settled with his most prominent Indian lieutenant, Muzaffar Khan. Muzaffar Khan, although capable, was a selfish, dishonest and overambitious man. His lust for money saw him frequently change allegiances and serve almost every ruler in South India. He embezzled funds during the campaigns by cheating the payrolls. A stern Sadashivrao had noticed his tricks of appointing less workforce and claiming larger sums as their salaries and was unhappy with it. They soon became open enemies. After the Treaty of Bhalki, during the Peshwa's expedition to Srirangapattan, an argument broke out between Mahadoba Purandare and Muzaffar Khan when the latter was asked to submit his muster for the payrolls. Muzaffar Khan, being caught at his act, quit the Maratha camp and sought refuge at the king of Srirangapattan. There he united the Nawab of Saunur with the king of Srirangapattan to form an alliance against the Peshwa. With the recent Treaty of Bhalki, the Peshwa sought assistance from Debussy to counteract this menace created by Muzaffar Khan. The Peshwa attacked Saunur in 1756 and demanded the surrender of Muzaffar Khan from the Nawab, which the Nawab denied. As soon as Charles Debussy arrived, Saunur collapsed under heavy artillery fire by the Frenchmen. The Nawab surrendered, but Muzaffar Khan fled away to save his life. Most of his men by now had left his services and sought employment with the Nizam. During the defense of Saunur, Muzaffar Khan had purchased artillery worth 25,000 rupees from the Portuguese. The Portuguese were pressing hard for this outstanding payment, which resulted in Muzaffar Khan surrendering himself to the Peshwa for a sum of 25,000, which he wanted to pay to the Portuguese. It's puzzling to understand why the Peshwa accepted his services again after the episode of Saunur. Perhaps there was no alternative in Peshwa's side with the ability to train artillery and European-styled troops. On the other hand, Nizam Salabat Jung was uncomfortable with the growing powers and influence of Debussy. In May 1756, Bussy was dismissed from Nizam's services. Angry at this decision, Bussy gathered all his followers at Charminar in Hyderabad, which ensued into a power struggle of 4 months. Eventually, Bussy was reinstated to his earlier position. Bussy, though, lost his trust in Salabat Jung and then temporarily retired to southeast. Nizam Ali, the younger brother of Salabat Jung, though, noticed another capable leader in the ranks of Debussy, Ibrahim Khan Gardi. Nizam acquired his services for 25,000 rupees. With Bussy retired to southeast, Peshwa sought his opportunity to renew the aggression against the Nizam. He gathered sizable troops under the leadership of Dattaji Shinde, Vishwasrao, the son of the Peshwa, Zankoji Shinde, Damaji Gaikwad. Nizam Salabat Jung appointed his brother Nizam Ali to oppose this advancing army. Nizam Ali with Ibrahim Khan Gardi at once marched from Aurangabad, and a fierce struggle between two opponents seethed for nearly a month around Sindhkhed. Nizam Ali and Ibrahim Khan then tried to break out all in a body through the Maratha cordon on 12th December 1757. This was under the shelter of their powerful artillery, a technique that Nizam Ali would repeat in the future at the Battle of Udgir. A fierce battle was fought continuously for 4 days at Sindhkhed. On 17th of December, Nizam Ali sent Vitthal Sundar begging for peace when Nagoji Mane from his army was killed along with many of his followers. Nizam Ali agreed to cede territories worth 25 lakhs, but as the Marathas turned their back, the Nizam defied. Ibrahim Khan Gardi had been instrumental with his artillery and infantry in the Battle of Sindhkhed. Salabat Jung, noticing the increasing prowess of Nizam Ali and Ibrahim Khan duo, promised Nizam Ali all the powers in the court if he dismissed Ibrahim Khan Gardi from his services. Thus, the Gardi was dismissed by Nizam Ali at the insistence of his brother Salabat Jung. Peshwa and his cousin Sadashivrao since long were keen to acquire his services. Peshwa had written a letter to Dattaji Shinde in 1757 asking him to offer up to 1 lakh rupees to acquire the services of this well-trained artillery leader, Ibrahim Khan Gardi. Finally, accompanied by his Gardi troops, Ibrahim Khan enrolled in the services of the Peshwa in October 1759. The arrival of these disciplined Gardi troops changed the nature of the Maratha army. They were now heavily reliant on the use of muskets and artillery. Earlier, when the Maratha armies ventured north, the Marathas were unable to collect their dues and tributes as the northern lords quickly sought refuge in their fortified strongholds. This resulted in a pressing need for strong and long-ranged artillery used for besieging the strongholds. Also, the traditional Maratha guerrilla warfare was not very useful when fighting in open fields. The use of muskets had gained significant importance to fight these open battles. Thus, the arrival of Ibrahim Khan Gardi in the Maratha army was going to enhance the Maratha arsenal. Now, Muzaffar Khan felt threatened when Ibrahim Khan Gardi joined the Peshwa services. Thinking that he could be asked to leave, he hatched a plan. On 1st of October 1759, when the Maratha forces left for their renewed campaign against the Nizam, Visaji Krishna Biniwale bribed Kavijang, the keeper of the fort at Ahmednagar, to take the fort on 28th of October. The same day, Sadashivrao was camped at Garpir, just outside the Pune city. That evening, while he was writing a letter, Muzaffar Khan's son-in-law Haider Khan attempted to murder Sadashivrao. Sadashivrao had leaned forward to dip the quill in the ink. Hence, Haider Khan missed him, but his weapon injured Sadashivrao's back. Men who were standing close to Sadashivrao immediately caught Haider Khan Gardi and imprisoned him. When interrogated, Haider Khan disclosed Nizam's plan to eliminate Sadashivrao and also the names of 8 other co-conspirators, including Muzaffar Khan, Ramchandra Prabhu. All were given capital punishment after a thorough inquiry. Back in Hyderabad, Salabat Jung and Nizam Ali received the news of Marathas seizing the fort of Ahmednagar. They dispatched an advance party under the leadership of Venkatrao Nimbalkar to take back the fort of Ahmednagar. They themselves left soon after with a larger army, while Nimbalkar soon reached the fort of Dharur. The Peshwa Balaji Bajirao arrived at the fort of Ahmednagar on 29th of November. He decided to drive the campaign from here. With the intelligence that the Nizam's army was advancing from Bidar towards Ahmednagar, Sadashivrao moved east to intercept him. On his way, he captured the forts of Bahadurgarh and Ausa. He was accompanied by his cousins Raghunath Rao and Samsher Bahadur, as well as his nephew Vishwas Rao. His army also included the troops of veteran army chiefs like Vitthal Shivdev, Antaji Mankeshwar, Damaji Gaikwad, Yashwantrao Pawar and Babuji Naik. Nizam's army was 22,000 strong, including the remainder of Gardi troops now led by Kader Khan Gardi, and about 100 cannons. The Maratha army was 40,000 strong with about 40 cannons. The Maratha armies rapidly advanced to intercept the Nizam because his numbers would have doubled as his advanced troop was awaiting his arrival at the fort of Dharur. Finally, both the armies came across each other near the fort of Udgir. On 11th of January 1760, the fighting commenced. 5,000 Gardi troops under Ibrahim Khan attacked the Nizam's army on the very first day. But it could not hold ground. Nizam's efficient artillery kept the Maratha Gardi troops at bay. One of these shells killed Gardi general named Sheikh Daud Gardi and 2 other men from Maratha army. Marathas then decided to encircle the Nizam's army and cut off its supplies. Nizam's army was advancing towards Dharur as a group under the protection of artillery, something similar to which they had earlier done in the Battle of Sindhkhed. Cognizant to the fact that smaller battalions could be vulnerable against the raiding Maratha cavalry, the Nizam made his defense formation using his disciplined troops to advance forward as one single battalion, called as the Gaul. The Gaul formation, learned and adopted by the Gardi troops who were trained under the French officers. The formation was squarish in shape. The sole aim of this arrangement was to advance as a group under the protection of artillery fire, a technique that was used by Nizam earlier in the Battle of Sindhkhed. Noticing Nizam's square formation, Sadashivrao now changed his plan. According to his new plan, Vishwasrao and him, along with Ibrahim Khan Gardi and Sardar Panse, were set to attack the right flank, while Raghunath Rao was to attempt a breach with his cavalry on the left flank. Meanwhile, Vitthal Shivdev Vinsurkar was following the Nizam's army like a shadow and reporting back regularly to Sadashivrao and Raghunath Rao on the developments. The Marathas, with their new action plan, charged on the Nizam's army but failed to break the formation. The constant gunfire also repelled Raghunath Rao's cavalry charge. Raghunath Rao and his men had to retreat to avoid heavy losses. Nizam was successfully heading towards Dharur, simultaneously repelling the repeated Maratha attacks. At last, on 3rd February, the Maratha army coordinated simultaneous attacks on both the sides of the Nizam's military formation. This made him split his focus and troops to counter these two attacks. The Vinsurkar troops who had been following the Nizam also seized this opportunity to breach and enter the formation from behind with his cavalry. This sent the Nizam's plan into disarray. Nizam was compelled to give up his formation and attempt a retreat in order to recoup. His defense was breached. Nizam's army quickly retreated towards the neighboring fort of Udgir. On 3rd February 1760, the Maratha army besieged the fort of Udgir. That evening, Nizam sent his envoy Vitthal Sundar to Sadashivrao, wishing for peace. The negotiations continued for about a week. At last, on 11th February 1760, a treaty was finalized between the two parties. According to this treaty, the Nizam was to hand over a territory worth 60 lakhs and surrender the forts of Daulatabad, Ashirgarh and Burhanpur to the Marathas. The Marathas also obtained a right to charge chauth, that is 1/4 of the taxes, from the provinces of Hyderabad and Bijapur. 10,000 troops fought under the leadership of Vishwasrao Peshwa in this battle. He was excellent with his archery atop an elephant. At a relatively young age, he displayed his valor through his archery. The victory of Udgir provided the Marathas a decisive edge over the Nizam in the provinces of Deccan. Or at least that's what they thought at the time. Although the Marathas had won the Battle of Udgir, they had incurred heavy losses. 1,500 men and 1,000 animals were lost in the cause. Prominent chiefs like Baranji Mohite and Keshavrao Panse died in the line of duty. The death of Sardar Panse, the artillery chief of the Marathas, shifted the responsibility of the Maratha artillery to Ibrahim Khan Gardi. The Marathas had to make spirited and tireless attempts to break the Gaul formation set by the Nizam. Sadashivrao had a close encounter with this formation. He noticed the strength of this formation as a defense mechanism. While Sadashivrao was indulged in the Treaty of Udgir to free up the entire Deccan from the Nizam, a dreadful scheme of things were set in motion in the north.